Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the next installment of the Fundamentals of Multiplied Gems series. And this is the one where I attack a pretty big question that the community has had for a long time now. When Leo was released, I was watching a Champions chat, either video or stream, I can't remember. I remember that Lee was piloting the episode, and Lee was testing out Leo on, I forget what card. It doesn't really matter. But the card made a lot of blue gems, and it made a lot of multiply gems. And put Leo on as a coach, blew the board blue with a bunch of multiply gems on it, and big damage ensued. Somebody in the comments section said, hey, you should swap out Leo for Zombie Gunther. You'll get more damage that way. And sure enough, it did a little bit more damage. Now, whether or not that was because of a cascade or what have you, I don't know. I don't remember enough of the specifics. But the one specific I do remember is Lee asking chat and asking the Champions Universe, I don't know why this is. If somebody out there could figure this out, please share the information. And that question and that statement has bugged me since I first watched it. When do you use Seth Leonardo, and when do you use a zombie coach? And I have been fighting with this math basically ever since that video. And I cannot come up with a very clear and concise method to explain when you should use a zombie and when you should use Leo. Okay. It's not simple this time. Like, what's another question? Oh, when do you use a flat damage trainer versus a percent damage gem trainer? Well, the rule of thumb is you take your base gem damage, you divide it by 12K, because that's the flat gem damage. And if the percentage is higher than the percentage trainer you can put on, right? So if 12K divided by base damage is 53%, and that's higher than 45%, which is the coach you have, then you use the flat gem damage. Whereas if you take the 12K divided by base gem damage, you only get 23%, then you'd use the 45% gem damage trainer. That's an easy rule of thumb. That's a bang, bang, quick, relatively simple math, a couple strokes of the calculator, and you've got your answer. This is not that, okay? So, forewarning, this is going to be a heavy spreadsheet, heavy math episode, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to try to explain everything I know the best I can, but there is a lot of variables with this problem, which is why I cannot come up with a quick and easy, like, oh, if it's this, do this. If it's this, do this. It doesn't work like that in this particular case. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So the only way I could figure out how to solve this problem is by making a calculator. Okay. And I'll show this off a little bit because this is going to kind of lead towards everything else. All right. So I have here, this is a new book. This is in my damage calculator. I'll have the link down below so you can play with it. And the new book is named Leo v Zombie. So it's specifically for this problem. So I've got base damage, base gem damage, and then I have everything else that is involved with base gem damage down to plates. The gem multiply trainer percentage and the gem multiply trainer flat do not work in this calculator, and neither does the activated buff, because it's actually irrelevant to the topic at hand. Over here, I've got total gem damage, which is what kicks out from rows 3 through 14 here. And then I have a formula where it takes total gem damage and it multiplies it, or it adds the 60% that you get from a zombie coach. Okay. And then it multiplies by your base multiplied total, which for some reason I have 17 in here. I'm going to put 5. Then with this particular calculation, I have total gem damage multiplied by base multiplied total, which is 5, plus 3, which is how many Leo gives. So this is base gem damage multiplied by 8. And this is base gem, so total gem damage with Leo is base gem damage multiplied by 8. And then total gem damage with Zombie is base gem damage multiplied by 5 with the added 60% buff that you get from the zombie coaches. Okay? Is everybody with me so far? That's how the calculator is built, and those are the exact equations that you need. So this will provide you in real time gem damage results, and it will tell you which gem damage result is higher, which entourage setup. If you throw a zombie, is the damage more than if you have Leo. And the way the math works out is 5 is a sweet spot. With a base multiplied gems on the board, and you've got 5 of them out there, they're X5s, it's a wash. The zombie coaches and Leo are the exact amount of damage. Okay. And the reason for that is you got to think about it in percentages. What does Leo really do? He adds 3 gems, or 300%. Against base gem damage. And we'll get into why it gets more complex later. But at just base gem damage, he adds 300% because he's adding 3 more total gems. Well, what do the zombies do? They add 60%. All right. But those get calculated. That 60% hits every single one of those multiplies. So it's 60% times 5, which is 300%. So they actually wash out. They're both 300% increases off of the gem damage base. And you can see that if you change it around. So let's change the base multiply total to 3. Okay. Leo's going to be higher. And Leo is higher because he's still a static 300% increase to gem damage base, where the zombies are actually 60% times 3, so 180% extra over gem damage base. So you can see the difference in numbers there. It's about 13k. Yeah, it's about 13k. Now you can flip it around and go the other way. Let's go with 8 as your base multiply total. Total gem damage of the Leo, which are X11s, is going to be 118,811. However, with the zombies, it's 138,000. Because while you're adding 300% here, you're actually adding 400%, right? No. 420%. 420% extra damage with the zombies. That's why this number is higher. Okay. So 5 is the break-even point based off of gem damage base. And you don't have to believe me. I'll show you. Over here in my entourage, I don't have Leo. So you're going to have to bear with me. I do have an unleveled, or not max leveled Sherry. I left her at strength 3 for this specific video. I will rock her up after this. This is my one shot. I got to keep her at 3. I basically have to record this one take because I'm out of strap parts. So, and then I've got Roxy here for +4 red MP to get loaded. I am using Hulk Hogan the Immortal only because he was the first one I found that throws out a base multiply total of 5. And did it in a relatively easy way, and I can choose and make sure that I'm using blue gems. And I'm going to use blue gems here because it is primary gem type. Okay, so I've got it loaded up. It's 10,801. So he is, go to moves here. He's going to make 3 rows and a multiplied gem strength of 5, which is over here in the base multiply total. And then Sherry is going to increase that by 3, which is the same amount that Leo does. Let's go into match. So what we're hoping to see is that when we put our multiplied gems on a blue gem, we're hoping to see 86,408. Multiplied gems are down. 86,408. Dead on. Perfect. Let's blow out some gems. Hope to get out of here. Everything is working as intended. The math is correct so far. Please just pin. Hey, okay. So, base gem damage times 8 is 86,408. Perfect. Let's swap it out for a non-color specific zombie. Now I will touch on the color specific zombies here in a second. But for right now, because that's a little bit harder for me to calculate, rather. But I'll get to it. I'll talk about it. So let's take Sherry off, and we're going to add, I believe I got Chelsea in here, right? Yep. So same concept, just a zombie coach. We replaced my fake Leo. And according to my calculator, we should see 86,408. Now, the way the game rounds, I think we see 86,410 instead. Spoilers. Sorry about that. In my opinion, it's close enough. The core concept is still there. Let's take a look at it. 86,410. Scopely rounding is weird, and I don't know how to account for it, but it's all there. You're essentially adding 60% to every single one of these multiply gems. Everything gets a lot larger. To the tune of, essentially 300%. Let's focus on some of the greens here just to get us a little bit extra damage boost to pin. Awesome. So I'll take this time to talk about, if you've seen any of the other multiply, specifically the first episode of the multiply gem series, I talk about exactly how gem damage is calculated. And that's really what throws a wrench into the gears of the question of, do you use a zombie or do you use Leo? Because multiply gems will take they will take all of the extra gem damage that you can possibly put on it. So it takes the straps and the metal types and the trainers and stuff like that, and it adds that into the multiply calculations. And that doesn't happen with the zombies. The zombies are still just adding 60% base gem damage. And then it gets calculated with each multiply gem. So if you have X5, it's at 60% 5 times against base, which is what makes this formula work. However, multiply gems don't actually work that way. They take the total damage and multiply that, essentially. And like I said, that's where things start getting really wacky. And where it becomes very difficult to actually answer the question. So, all right, Austin, stay down, please. There we go. Needless to say, my zombie Hogan is unleveled. And probably should have put at least 100 levels into him to give him some killing power. Oh well. All right, point of no return. Once I start adding straps, I cannot cut the video. I'm out of strap parts. I'm always out of strap parts. All right, so what strap was I using? I was using this one right here. Don't worry about the plate. I'll touch on plates here in a second with a different character. Over here with Hogan, it is actually kind of, I don't have too much complicated stuff on here. I do have 100% strap. I have double Fury 2s. I don't actually have a percentage Fury 2 metal. I actually have a flat one of 126, and then I have flat blue gem damage of 45 right there. So 45 plus 126 is 171, I believe. Come back here. Yeah, 171. So we'll put that in the flat metal section. Okay. There's no substats I guess technically it is a substat. Yeah, whatever, it works. And then I'm going to come over here and I am going to add a trainer. Jay works just fine for blue gems, so we'll throw him on there. So percent trainer bonus is 40%. We can already see at the base multiply gem at 5, damage with Leo is higher. Because damage with Leo is taking this number right here, the total gem damage, multiplying it by 8. And that's higher than this one, which is taking total gem damage, adding 60% of base gem damage, which is about 6,600, 6,400, something like that, and then multiplying that 5 times, which is a big difference than multiplying it 8 times and catching each one of those, catching all of this extra stuff, right? That's where the big differences come in. Now, the cool thing about this is it does eventually even out. You can see it changes by roughly 60% of base gem damage every time, which is about $6,000. So the higher you get up with multiply gems, the closer the gap becomes between Leo and zombie damage, to the point where I think the break-even point is about 16. So, in this scenario, with this exact setup, if you are rocking base multiply gems of 16, it's a wash again. And if you get up to base multiply gems of 17, the zombies are better. Now, this number will change depending on how much more stuff you have in rows 3 through 14. The more numbers that you put in here to make this number bigger will mean you need more base multiplies to make the zombies better. Okay. But let's go back. Let me show my work real quick. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Go into battle. We should expect each blue gem to do 206,000, right? So that's what we're going to check for. We'll do that one too. And we look at it, 206,075. So we're right there. We're dead on. Austin should get down much easier now. Yep. Perfect. So let's check our Leo. And again, we should expect 277,000 there. Okay. Come on, bud. Thank you. Cool. Break our entourage. Let's add our Leo. By the way, I didn't mention it. Zombie Hogan does have a moment. The moment does not affect this moveset at all. Okay. Doesn't have any gear either. Did I swap out? Yep, I swapped out. Okay. So let's go test this one out. Again, we should be looking for 277,000 per each X5 blue multiply gem. Now, one thing that doesn't change here, and I'll show it off here in a second, 277,880. Dead on. The one thing that doesn't change here is the overall like base gem damage. Okay. So if I go over here to the calculator and I add a 0 here, that doesn't really change too awful much. The ideas are the same. You know, the zombie damage is still less with Leo until you get to 16 where it breaks even, right? It is the same concept. The base gem damage doesn't really matter. The base gem damage is there as the base to calculate everything off of. And obviously in this game, the higher base gem damage you got, the better off you're going to be. But for the purposes of figuring out who to use, it doesn't really matter. It's just a building block. So that's how it works in a nutshell. But let's throw some more stuff on somebody. Okay. So let's go back. I think I've used DX Army every single time. Since he's already set up to be pretty decent, let's look for him. Where is he at? There he is. No strap, so I'll have to add the strap. There it is. All right, so let's recalculate here. Base gem damage is 14,895. And still running 100% strap, still running double fury 2s. So that's 180. And then running 35% for this metal. Okay, no substats. Trainer bonus. I'm not going to put Mosh on for this one. I will put Leo. And then I'll put Random Zombie 1. I'm going to put Gunther on here. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm actually just going to put Afa on here. And then I'm going to put gem damage. Find me a blue percent gal. There we go. Perfect. All right, so Afa and Julius are 60 and 30, so that puts us at 90 for the percent trainer bonus. Okay, no flat, no gear. Moment bonus, though, he does have that. So over here in the moments, we've got all color gems do 200% more damage. And then we have to remember that we're getting 3 multiply gems from here and 3 multiply gems from here for a total of 6 to go along with the move that tosses 5. So his base is 11. Whoops, come here. All right. We can see that there is a little bit of a gap between the zombie and the damage with Leo. And we've got the zombie on, right? I'll put both of them on. Get out of here. Probably have one. Yeah, let's do flats. That's fine. Flat trainer bonus of 12K. Excuse me. Don't need a percent. Okay, there we go. So we can see that Leo in this particular setup is going to be better. So where's our break-even point? Not 21, not 22, not 23. Is it 25? 20, whoops, 27, 31, 35, 35. There's our break-even point. So there is a point in time where the zombies are better than Leo, but you have to have base multiply gems of 35. You're probably not getting there with Shawn Michaels. It's going to be 7 more years of power creep before Shawn Michaels throws out base multis of 35. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't work. And this is what I've been finding with most of that's what I've been finding with most of this is, yes, theoretically the zombies are always going to be better depending on how many how the size of the multiply on the board, but typically we're dealing with multiplies that are so small. Oh, plates, right. One of these plates won't trigger because I don't have Mosh on. 37 is your break-even point when you add 50% to this plate. So yeah, I mean, that's in the size of multiplies that we're working with right now. Leo is always going to be better than a zombie coach. Okay. In a perfect world, you'll just put Leo and a zombie coach on and, just skyrocket your damage. And I probably should have made the calculator for that line too, but whoops, I don't have it. Well, let's show our work real quick. So theoretically, each blue gem should be 1.53 million. If I've done my math right. And I'm not forgetting anything. I may be forgetting something. Nope, that's it. 1.533 million. 882. Rounding errors somewhere. But there you go. And I'll swap it out for a zombie just to show you that everything shakes out the way I've mathed it out. I hope I've explained this in a way that kind of makes sense. I feel a little rambly, but this is a rambly subject. There's no real, I haven't been able to find a clever way. I actually talked to a buddy of mine, lives out in London, teaches math. Dude has a degree in math and I think physics. And I was explaining to him the problem. I was like, I need a cute little formula to show this. And I told him all the variables and I tried to explain, if this, then this, if this, then this. And even that got a little weird. Oh, I should have left this open. No, I can. Oh, I should have left this open. That's lame. I can fix it. And then we'll go over here and we'll just zero that out. We can expect each one to do 1.171 million. Yeah, I asked him, he's the math guy that I know. He was like, man, there's too many variables. It would make sense that the zombies are better in the long enough timeline. But finding that out exactly, there's too much stuff going on without a calculator to actually do it. Where are we at? 1.171500. Close enough for government work. So there you go. There's the answer. Is mostly Leo is better as a coach. Sometimes the zombies are better. Depends on what you're working with. I think the most relevant use for this information is, believe it or not, going to be in like, I don't know, steel cage rules where you can't bring a strap or plates in, or something is severely restricted so you can only use your entourage or you can only use your coaches. Or if you've got like massive MP down, I don't know. It's going to have to be a completely hindranced game event where this particular calculation is going to make a lot of sense. But the question has been bothering me forever. I've heard multiple people ask this question, and this is the answer. Mostly Leo, sometimes zombies. It depends on how big your base multipliers are, and it depends on how much damage that you're putting into your total gem damage, right? Like I said, the more stuff here, the better it is for Leo. The less stuff here, the better it is for the zombies. I hope this helped. I hope this wasn't too rambly. Next up will be, when should you use Sherry and when should you use Mosh? A much lesser asked question, but one that I think is maybe should be more important, and a question that we should be asking much, much more often. But that's it for the day, guys. If you've learned anything today, if you've been entertained by anything today, or if you just happen to like the sound of my voice, do me a favor, click like, click subscribe. Definitely send this one to your faction mates, and I'll talk to you next time. Like.